For centuries, Alderaan stood as a beacon of hope in the Republic. The Empire came.
I have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan.
Peace while you suffer. The Emperor drowns you in black waters.
He wants me to be Darth Revan again. Serve him as I did centuries ago. He made me a Sith Lord and named me Darth Revan.
The Force does not control you. You saved Ugantia using something you thought was important. But your motives are still aligned with the Jedi Code.
To arms, men! Defend the throne!
Anakin Skywalker was weak. I destroyed him. He was weak and foolish, like his father. So I destroyed him.
Master Windu, you have fought gallantly. Worthy of recognition in the archives of the Jedi. It is finished.
To them it is.
I have been waiting for you. Is it true that he is the chosen one?
It's Alex.
It's Harrison.
And welcome back to State of the Galaxy, episode number 33, I think. And today we are going to try out another little game that I have figured out. I did have some Star Wars news. Did you come on prepared with any stuff? Stuff Star Warsy?
No, I've just seen a lot of good memes the last couple of days about Kathleen Kennedy and the franchise.
I did like what you told me, and that was fun.
Don't it yourself.
So why don't we jump into this this little game? So the way that the game works is that we both come up with quotes back and forth from Star Wars, and then the other one has to identify who said it and from which film. And there isn't a more advanced version where we will say what was the follow-up line.
But that version is not free to play, and we have to buy the DLCs.
So we'll probably expand into that at a later time, because it's been something that I've been trying out at work, and it works really, really well. Right, okay, so did you want to start off, or are you happy for me to start
You
off?
can start off.
Alright, so I'm going to start off... okay. Be thankful, Viceroy. You have not found yourself in my grip. From which film, and who says it?
I don't think it's Revenge for the Sith.
Okay,
I feel like it's Attack of the Clones.
okay,
But I'm also starting to lean towards Phantom Menace.
okay.
Phantom Menace, Darth Sidious to Gunro. What's his face? Nick
Viceroy
Gunro.
Gary.
That's the guy.
No,
Was it
I'm
Attack of the
afraid
Clones?
it's actually Revenge of the Sith. And
what
it's
was
General
that?
it's General Grievous saying it to Viceroy on Utapau
Oh,
right before
leaving
Obi-Wan
it
jumps
about-
down.
Oh, hello.
So yeah, okay. So, do you have one for me?
I do. Give us a second. Thinking.
If not, I have another one.
Rebellions are built on hope. Who says that? What film?
Well, Jyn Erso says it in Rogue One.
I mean, she's only in that film, so.
Okay. There is no Death Star.
That's Rogue One as well.
Okay, who says it?
What's his face? Tarkin.
No.
Who is it?
Vader says it. He says it in his castle. He says it to Krennic. There is no Death Star. The Senate is to be informed that Jeddah City was destroyed in a mining accident.
There we go. We can't be right all the time.
You got one for me?
I'm just thinking.
I think I could do a good Vader with a voice modifier.
My powers have doubled since we last met Count.
It's actually my powers have doubled since the last time we met.
Oh, whatever. You know what I mean?
It's
God damn
Anakin
it.
from Revenge of the Sith to Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Okay.
Double the pride, double the fool.
I do like that. It's actually twice the price, double the price.
Can we nitpick it? We can play a different game.
Okay. Ooh, what have I got?
Behold, the instrument of your liberation.
Different franchise.
Seemed a good time to chuck that one in there.
How about this facility is crude?
Who's got to pick the really obscure ones?
I think it's then followed by, but it should be suffice to free Skywalker for his journey to the Emperor, but I'm not too sure about the follow-up of that. Oh, come on! With that should be a giveaway.
Yeah, it's Return of the Jedi, isn't it?
No!
What is it?
It's Empire Strikes Back, when they're in the Carbonite freezing room, when he's talking to Lando, and it's Vader who says it.
Oh, Lando.
Alright, go on then. You need to sit down and rewatch Star
Yeah,
Wars.
I did. It's been a while. I'm just like complete brain blank.
Anything.
Give us a minute.
There is a good one that I've come up with, because there's 2 times that it's said, and it's just up to pure dumb luck if you choose the right one.
Did you hear the tragedy of...
Oh, well, that's not
Vegas
that's
Blue
not
Eyes?
even like
Come on.
tricky. That's well, if you want me to be precise, that's Senator Palpatine to Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 3 in the Bubble Theater.
Darth Sidious would have done. And he's the same guy.
Yeah, I know, but during that point, his identity was Senator Palpatine. I want to do one. Okay. Anakin, don't let your personal feelings get in the way. Follow that speeder.
Attack of Clones.
Okay. Who says it?
Everyone?
There we go.
Yeah, easy ones.
Do you remember the scene?
It's in that chase to Sam West, wasn't it?
Yes.
After she tries to kill Padme. It becomes a weird fish thingy with man.
Oh no, wait, no, it's not in that one.
Is it not?
No, it's in the chase for Count Dooku
Oh.
on Geonosis.
Well, there's a lot of
Because
chases.
that's after Padme falls off the gunship. So okay, your one. You've got so many films.
I know, and that's what I'm
Good
thinking.
one.
So many films. Too many choices.
All right, I've got one. If you haven't,
Go on.
fire on that cruiser.
Why are they Scottish?
I don't know. He does go a bit. I mean, he's a bit angry at this point. So I've already told you it's a he.
Tarkin.
No.
Vader? No, it's not Vader, he's not Scottish.
I've made it easy for you because it's relating to something that you may have seen recently.
Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Hux.
Yeah. Okay.
Sweet.
It's just before Holder does the hyperspace jump.
That weird way to kill yourself. Very
Yeah, I
inconsiderate.
did like it though. It's cinematically pleasing.
Thousands of Imperial lives are lost for the
Thousands of the First Order
Yeah, it's still
for the
kind of.
Resistance.
The Empire's not dead, okay?
It is.
Don't kill my Empire.
But surely you should be happy about that because the First Order's kind of naff.
Yeah, I suppose.
The Empire was way cooler.
The Empire did it first.
Alright. You got one?
You were the chosen one.
Well, it's Episode 3, Obi-Wan Kenobi to Anakin Skywalker on Mustafar.
Yeah, that's an easy one. You can't have all the difficult, obscure ones.
Uh,
My brother Anakin, I love you. Bloody, bloody, blah.
did you just say heartburn?
No, now burn.
Oh, I was going to say heartburn. But
I have the high ground.
which one? Trying to think of another not too obscure one. Well, it couldn't have possibly have been as bad as all that. Now there I agree. Now there I agree with you. In fact, I could do a tune up myself.
Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm. Who said
Just after the Battle of Coruscant and its C-3PO tour.
very nice. Because I do quite like that scene because you get the silver droid as well and you get to see some of the senators.
Mm.
It's just nice.
And a bit of Coruscant in itself.
Yeah, I do like that scene actually, and I think we'll talk about it more in our episode 3 breakdown. But that was probably some of the best acting that we'd seen, not only from Padme but also from Anakin, where he gets told that she's pregnant, and you get to see it's almost like that end scene of Star Wars Episode 7 where Luke shows so many different emotions.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing because you get shock, you get panic, but you also get a certain amount of happiness, and then just pure dread.
Okay, I've got one now.
Okay.
I've seen this kind of power once before.
Well, it was Luke in Last Jedi who says it to Rey. after she's returned from the weird seaweed pit.
Alright, what's the next line?
I've seen this kind of strength once before in Ben Solo. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now.
You're better with lines anyway.
I am alright at lines. In fact, we tried this as well with Harry Potter as well, just because I'm so psyched about Fantastic Beasts, and it doesn't help that they play the Harry Potter theme now at work. Okay.
I've got one if you want to continue to think of it.
Alright, okay. Well, I mean, I can do follow-up lines as well if you want. No, I mean, like, I can do the follow-up line to yours.
There's always a bigger fish.
Qui-Gon in Phantom Menace
Yeah,
to pretty much the occupants of that silly old ship. And I think it's then followed by he said think we're going back now or something to that effect.
Yeah, it's Phantom Menace, we don't talk about
that. Yeah, I do like some of the Qui-Gon quotes. Which other ones did I do today? The Jedi are extinct. Their fire has gone out of the universe. You, my friend, are all that exists of that ancient religion. I think that's right.
I feel like it's A New Hope.
It is.
And it's Moff Tarkin sent it to Vader.
It is.
In the Death Star briefing room.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because at that point the Force is like magic and they don't believe it exists.
Yeah, because Star Wars has that weird thing of where if something isn't said for 2 days, it becomes myth and legend. Because I always found that really bizarre how there was a massive battle that pretty much everyone knew about. You saw everyone knew about it because you saw the celebration scene, admittedly in the remastered version of Jedi, but still, it's still canon. Everyone knew about what had happened, and yet then 30 years later, it's like, oh, the battle, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. So I never really understood that, because 30 years isn't a large enough gap in order for something as big as that to become legend, unless word of mouth just doesn't exist.
It doesn't seem to exist in Star Wars.
No, very, very, very true. So we do have one bit of Star Wars news, and it's that I can't remember the name of the actor, but that supposedly Lando is meant to be coming back for Star Wars Episode 9. Billy D. Williams.
Just the geezer.
There we go. So how do you feel about this? Because I feel like it's...
Well, it depends. Are they just going to kill him off like they're killing all the old
Well, yeah, I'm guessing you've seen that that drawn picture of Mickey Mouse going in and out of the star rooms just like drenched in blood.
So he's like, is he going to die? He's aged quite badly as well. He looks
He
really
hasn't
old
aged
now.
particularly well.
Like, he looks like a chunky old geezer.
But he looks like someone who would play jazz.
Yeah.
And I like that, because I always imagined Lando to be a musical man. But I don't...
See, I really like the Lando and Solo. I thought
Yeah.
it was really cool.
Yeah, I thought they portrayed... I mean, that's one of the many good things that they did in
So
Solo.
I think they need to show a bit more of that side of him.
But at the same time, it has been over 30 years now. You need to see some kind of development.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Luke took a massive turn within his outlook on things, so there's no reason to expect, not that it's right, there's no reason to expect that Lando wouldn't do the same. So the one thing I was concerned about was that he would it's been too long.
Mm-hmm.
We've been through 2 films, and Han Solo never mentioned Lando, Leia never mentioned Lando. It could have just been as simple as being, oh, you know, that I don't know what would provoke Leia to say this, but you know, oh, I could do with a real scoundrel in my life right now, like Han or Lando being the 2 scoundrels that she knew, or at least within new canon. So that's all we would have needed, a name drop of Lando, maybe even as far back as Episode 7. Like, we could really do with Lando right now, but he's on so-and-so system doing this.
Or he's retired to this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, or he's back on Cloud City, being very popular or whatever. We don't want to... Maybe he's part of a neutral system now or something. So I don't know, I just feel like it's too late to bring Lando in. I don't know how you would write it to feel natural, because Lando can't just turn up, because it's like, where have you been for 2 films? What if he brings a load of militia from Cloud City as part of the new resistance? It'd be like, well, where the hell were you?
Really needed you the most.
It's not like there hasn't been a massive build-up of enemy activity. I mean, 5 planets were destroyed within the core of the New Republic.
Unless he's gathering forces and like
Too little, too late.
Yeah, maybe he's been doing it the whole time and he was too far away regardless. Or maybe they're like, oh, we know we're getting absolutely creamed. We need you to go and get more ships or more people to join. Maybe some like dodgy systems, like pirate systems, or
I would like to see Lando leading a pirate force.
like
We get Hondo. I mean, Hondo's going to be ancient at this point.
yeah, if you get some like rougher characters that will sort of be more
An ancient Hondo.
you know, a bit more like rugged and ready to do stuff that the rebellion wouldn't necessarily do.
No, fair. Okay, fair enough. I mean, if they write it like that, that's something that we're going to have to write up in our Star Wars episode 9.
Because obviously word of mouth doesn't spread anywhere, so maybe he just
doesn't know what the hell's going on. Okay,
Or maybe he's been held captive by the First Order for a long time.
maybe.
Maybe like, oh, you were a great general, let's torture you to get information.
But what information could he possibly have?
Well, he'd know where bases are and stuff.
Old bases.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean they wouldn't go back to them. Like, they went back to Crate.
Yeah, but Crate's been now added into the story. Like, as far as the original canon went, we didn't know that the Resistance even had an older base on Crate until Episode 8, and by definition the Marvel Comics fleshed that out.
Yeah.
So that stuff that they've added in, not stuff that we've seen before. I mean, I don't know why they would go back to Hoth Base. There's nothing left than Yavin, maybe.
Yeah, Yavin's pretty big base.
Although Yavin, I don't know, again, if this is now part of new canon, but in old canon, it was home to like a million Sith temples, and that place was shrouded by the dark side. Don't know why they put a home there.
No.
Okay, fair play. So maybe if they do it like that, maybe it will work. I don't know. But I mean, I'm still hurting after the information that we got about the Kenobi film being torn down.
Yeah.
Not
torn down so much. More put on hold, isn't it?
Yeah, but that we probably won't see it in the form that we were supposedly meant to see it. Like the whole bridge between episode 3 and 4.
I
Which
think
is a
they
real
need to
shame.
stop focusing on 3 and 4 though. I know they don't really have much time with Kenobi. But like Rogue One
Yeah.
focused on it. A couple of the games are focused on the between.
Yeah, I know, but there's a lot to flesh out. There's
Yeah.
there's a massive change in regime that happens during that point. So why don't they? Because there's barely any gap between. Well, yeah, there's barely any gap between episodes 4 and 5.
No, but you could do a bit
There's
of...
even less of a gap between 5 and 6.
You could do a bit of like the rebellion running away from the Empire and thinking they've won, and then to somehow maybe find out
I know,
the second
but
Death
there's
Star.
less. I mean, you've got 18 years-ish between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
Yeah.
So you've got, admittedly, yeah, there are stories to be told, but there are more stories to be told between that gap of episodes 3 and 4. I mean, that was what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Kenobi witnessing the establishment of the Empire from afar and getting all these bits of enemy. I can't remember. Is it contraband? No.
Communications?
No. Propaganda. To say like, because that's what I did when I wrote up my my Kenobi film thing, was him saying, so him receiving a communication that Yoda's dead. Obviously that's not right, but the Empire is trying to extinguish all hope, and any Jedi that are out there, they would then make a mistake because it's like, oh, Master Yoda isn't here to lead us. We're now on our own.
Yeah.
We're going to make mistakes now. Did I actually read out to you the summation for Kenobi?
Nope.
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, go for it.
Because I think I got it here. I'll have a quick look-see. So, first of all, is there anything that you would want to see within the Kenobi film, assuming that we're still getting that bridge between 3 and 4?
To be honest, I'm quite happy to not know, to see what's going to happen, you know?
So you don't have anything that you would want to see?
Not really. I mean, Kenobi's really cool, but I think I'd be happy to be surprised as well. But surprised with Solo, obviously.
Okay, so I've written more or less a full plot. Well, more or less. So the film opens with a shot of a transmitter screen with a moving waveform animation as Obi-Wan sends out his message. I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen, with the dark shadow of the Empire rising to take their place. This message is a warning and a reminder for any surviving Jedi, trust in the Force. Which is the message that he sends out in Rebels. Cuts to a shot of Obi-Wan 7 years later after Episode 3 with his head in his hands. He looks up and asks, Master Qui-Gon, Master Qui-Gon, damn you, damn the Force, and damn your ridiculous little prophecy. Master Qui-Gon appears behind him and asks, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? You were wrong. Master, the boy, he was not the one to bring balance to the Force. He instead destroyed the Jedi and has helped to cover the galaxy in a second darkness. Why? Master Qui-Gon does not answer the question directly, instead assures Obi-Wan that in time all will be set right, and that he was not wrong in a certain point of view. This angers Obi-Wan, who decides to shut himself off from the Force, which we know can be done, and his old master. His anger quickly turns to sadness, and he thinks about those he has lost. One in particular does haunt him. He walks a fine line between light and the dark side, just as Luke did in the bridge between Episode 5 and 6. Just as, well, I've already written that. Things are made worse when he steals an Imperial transmitter from a drunk officer and hears that Master Yoda has been killed. He is unable to reach out with the Force to check this information. His only reminder of good is when he picks up the Skywalker saber and remembers his old friend. One day he decides to use what little Force power he has left to leave a message to a light side practitioner who picks up the saber outside of the Skywalker family, hence why Rey gets that vision and you hear Kenobi. Mm-hmm. He does this because his paranoia has convinced him that the Skywalker family is cursed. Desperate to be with friends, however, he attempts to convince himself differently about the Skywalkers by going to visit Owen and Beru in their homestead and, once I flick over the page, and be acquainted to Luke properly. They greet him with open arms and even invite him in to dine with them. What's that? Obi-Wan whispers. What? Owen asks, halfway through a mouthful. Obi-Wan dismisses it and goes back to his meal. He has barely finished his mouthful when he hears it again. Master. The voice is cold and rich with the dark side. He recognises it, but it can't be. He slams his cutlery down and dashes into the courtyard, breathing heavily, and closely followed by Owen and Beru, with concerned looks on their faces. The courtyard is empty. Owen chuckles and places his hand on Obi-Wan's shoulder. See, there's nothing there. Now come back. Grub's getting warm. I do like that joke because Tatooine, high climate. Obi-Wan sighs and turns to face the couple. His calm expression soon turns to panic again, as standing behind Owen and Beru, covered in cuts and severe burns, exposed bones merged with cybernetics, excreting some kind of dark side black cloud, and slowly bleeding on the floor. It is Anakin, his old apprentice, still alive, clinging on to life through the use of the dark side. Anakin reaches for his lightsaber while he pushes one finger from his other hand to his cracked lips while attempting a psychotic smile. Obi-Wan screams out and lashes out towards the couple, who both dive to one side. Anakin does nothing to counter the attack, other than vanish in a cloud of black smoke as the blue blade slices through him. That's a new trick you have there, Anakin, vanishing into thin air without a trace. Is that something your precious Emperor taught you? Anakin reappears further into the courtyard, laughing to himself. Yes, it is actually. Yes, it is actually. He taught me it as I was brushing filthy Jedi blood from my robe. I think of their screams all the time. It feels so good. Obi-Wan, with tears in his eyes, runs forward again, ready to deal a deathly blow. Before he can, however, Beru steps in front of him, rifle in hand, with tears in her own eyes. Get out, and never come back. Stand aside, Beru. I have to. She presses the barrel into his forehead. And stay away from our boy. Confused, Obi-Wan looks past her to see a confused and scared-looking Luke. Saying nothing else, he grabs his Jedi robe and runs from the homestead. Act 1 is giant, and Act 2 and 3 are tiny. Following the original canon, 3 years down the line, Obi-Wan is woken by a call in the Force. Dazed and confused, he quickly follows the call to find a more grown-up Luke being chased by pirates, who are after the moisture canisters Luke has. Not revealing his position and using the Force, he disarms the pirates and saves the now unconscious Luke, who he returns to the outskirts of the homestead. Shortly after, he saves Owen with the use of the Force, revealing his position to this time, but only to Owen. So I did a secondary podcast where there was other stuff, I think. Or have I not written? I don't know if I've written Act 3. I'm sure I have. Bear with.
Citation needed.
Citation needed. Where the hell is Act 3? I'm so sure I wrote it. Alright, well, the long and the short of it is, in Act 3, he returns to his homestead and sees Ahsoka Tano there, older Ahsoka. And she reassures him that not all hope is lost, and that there is still hope within the galaxy, reassuring Obi-Wan, who then places the lightsaber back in the chest and just essentially waits for Episode 4. So I wasn't sure what you thought of that.
Oh, that's cool so far.
Because I do love the whole kind of anxiety side of Obi-Wan, where because my canon building, my head canon if you like, was that when Anakin had his freak out in the Tatooine home, he would have left a dark mark on the home, therefore prompting a manifestation of the dark side, in this case Anakin, as Obi-Wan would have expected to have seen him, because all he would have had is enemy propaganda and anything like that to depict what Vader or Anakin could possibly look like if there was a dark disciple at all, if Anakin even survived on Mustafar. So I did like that, and having him kind of like lash out towards them because he thinks that Anakin's there. I mean, obviously there's the point that Turnbull made, because I told him about this, I told him and Matt about this plot before Solo had come out, and he said, well, they wouldn't do that because they wouldn't bring a character from an animated series or had a legacy within the animated series into the main films because it would confuse fans. But as we already know, they've done it with Darth Maul. So I feel fairly happy with my idea of having Ahsoka Tano there, because I feel like it was someone that Obi-Wan had a lot of interaction with, not personal attachment as such, but he would recognise her, and the fact that she'd survived the Jedi Purge after disappearing at the end of Season 5 of the Clone Wars, that would give him some hope.
Yeah.
Especially someone as close to Anakin, because you would think that Anakin would go after her first.
You think so?
But he had other priorities. So yeah, I really, assuming that they resurrect Kenobi, I'd love for them to do something like that.
Yeah, hopefully they do.
I don't really know, because according to original canon, he even gets like a job with some Jawas, and that's how. Because in original canon, Luke bashes up his skimmer in the canyons, and then Obi-Wan delivers parts with the money that he's earned from his Jawa job to Luke, so he can rebuild his speeder. I just feel you need to justify why Owen is so cold with Kenobi.
Yeah.
In Episode 4, because it seems bizarre that all he did was give him a kid. It's not like the Empire is constantly knocking at their door as a result of this. No one comes to the homestead until they encounter the Jawas at the beginning of Episode 4. So it's not like having Luke around has caused them any kind of trouble. Probably quite the opposite. You've got an extra pair of hands for the harvest, whatever that means. So why so glum, chum? You can't just tear into someone for no reason. And as original canon has shown us now, and with my addition, that gives them more of a reason to not only be annoyed at Obi-Wan, but to be afraid of him. Exactly. They don't want Luke getting involved, because as far as they're concerned, this guy's unstable. He's just, like Owen says, just a crazy old man. But yeah, I mean, I've really had to try this podcast to come up with interesting things to say, because Star Wars is now in such a
state of disarray.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on, and there's nothing fun to talk about now. I mean, this is why I'm thinking we should do the film thing, because at least then we can look back on things that we did find fun and start talking about that. Because we would have a lot to talk about after having seen a film. Like Tom and I did episode 2. We'll probably do episode 2 again, because I think that was very early into the podcast. I think podcast 9 or something. But yeah, I mean, you said you wanted to do Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Any other requests?
Yeah, Empire.
Oh yeah, Empire as well. I mean, I'm really looking forward to do Phantom Menace, just because I think we're going to find it tricky to... I like to set myself a challenge. I've got a couple of ideas of what I want to talk about, like scenes that I've talked about in the podcast where I would have preferred to have seen this. Yeah. Or different ideas. Something that I've been speculating on is getting the concept art books for the rest of the films, because not only do you get to see the ideas that they would have gone with for different characters, but also different plots.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about the very different ending for episode 3 that they had planned. So it's depicted in one of the images that Padme, when she goes to Mustafar, she goes with a knife.
Oh, okay.
Because I would have preferred this instead of the "you're breaking my heart, you're going down a path I can't follow." Because it seemed a bit, it was the whiny acting that we were so familiar with. Because it could have been like Padme is upset and she hasn't come to terms with what Anakin's done, but she's come to terms with what she must do now in order, because she is the best hope of an undercover attack on Anakin, because Anakin isn't just going to lash out at the first person he sees if that person is someone he loves.
Yeah, right. She could have let him for a hug and he could have tried...
Exactly. She could have misled him, and then she could have, even if Anakin had sensed that, done something in order to prevent him. Because she had enough information just from what Obi-Wan said that this guy is now not the Anakin that she fell in love with.
Killed younglings.
Exactly, and you've led an attack on the Jedi Temple. And
I've seen the recordings.
You've. I mean, obviously the Viceroy are nothing to her, but you've ended this war single-handedly to only then start another.
I found an interesting post the other day. It was asking an interesting question of, did Palpatine use Padme's life force to create new midi-chlorians in Anakin so he would survive?
Huh. Because that would have...
This whole dying of a
that whole... I do like that idea, because then that kind of changes that. Because, like you say, the whole dying of a broken heart thing. Although it is possible within the real world, it's not something that people are necessarily going to be like, yes, that's what would happen. It's very rare.
And then obviously when he goes, I felt her, she was alive.
Yeah.
Obviously he went unconscious while they're operating on him, so...
Yeah, and if Anakin was sucking out the life... Sorry, if Sidious was sucking the life force out of Padme, he would have sensed that life force as opposed to her actually being alive. That's clever. I like that.
There's no background to support it, but...
But that's cool. Because, maybe it's hinted at in the Plagueis thing that was something that they were trying to perfect, because it's hinted in the Plagueis book that it was like a Sith ritual, citation needed, between Sidious and Plagueis that created Anakin. I mean, Qui-Gon said that Anakin is or was a virgin in the Force. Shmi Skywalker said that Anakin had no father. So, yeah. That's really cool. I actually really like that. I mean, we could probably just create our own law. I prefer that. That's what happened. Because, I doubt Sidious had any kind of... Sidious didn't give a care whether Anakin had Padme alive or not.
No.
He just wanted his new apprentice.
He probably would have found a way to kill her off if she was getting annoying.
Yeah, exactly. So he found a perfect way. If that is right, using her life force in order to save his new Padawan, or I suppose apprentice, in order to then create or refine this dark creature that Anakin had become, and with Padme out of the way, sure there'd be mourning, but there wouldn't be him going off to see Padme or anything like that. He would be the Emperor's tool, because that's all he had left. But yeah, so we'll finish up this episode of the podcast. And what would you say to let's say 2 weeks, because I'll try and figure out something to do for next week. In fact, I may even do a podcast with Tom when I see him on Thursday. But let's say we'll do a Rogue One podcast.
Cool.
Not next week, but the week after. I mean, if you want that time, but make sure you take notes, just so you have something to refer back to. Because there are a couple of scenes that I want to talk about in that, a couple of cool characters that we see, a couple of cool aliens that I didn't think we would see.
Well, we'll go from there then.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, I don't know if we're going to do it in order.
Doesn't
We'll call
matter,
it Rogue One Special, and then we'll go from there.
Cool.
Awesome. So whether you are Jedi or Sith, Resistance or First Order, Republic or CIS, Rebellion or Empire,
Bounty or Bounty Hunter.
brilliant. If you're bounty, you're screwed. We hope you have a very good day, night, evening, whatever you're doing. May the Force be with you, and we will see you guys next week.